I'd like to open up the meeting of the Asbury Park Work Session, September 8, 2015. Roll call, Councilmember Clayton. Here. Councilmember Kendall.
Here.
Councilmember Warner.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Here.
Mayor Moore.
Here.
At this time, if we could please rise for a silent prayer or a moment of reflection, please.
Is this possible?
Flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know what I do.
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the following manner. The annual notice was forwarded to the Asbury Park Press, the Coaster, the Star-Ledger, on January 2nd, 2015, and posted in a bulletin board the same day. All notices were on file with the city clerk. Kevin?
Okay, items for review.
Can I have some of these, even though I bought it for you?
This is from the work session on August 24th, 2015. Not responded to during the regular session on Wednesday, August 26, 2015. The public, there was a question about the landscaping of the 100 block of 6th Avenue. And the answer to that is Robert Bancini and the city manager will be looking into an affordable solution for the landscaping. The other question was, will iStar have a scale model of the 1101 Ocean Avenue project? The city manager has been in touch with them, and they have been assured that a scale model of the building will be available for the public to see as the project progresses. Questions from the regular session on Wednesday, August 26, 2015. There was one question that was unanswered, and that is the possibility of installation of speed bumps in the front of each school building. The police department has been consulted on this matter, and research will continue regarding the viability of doing such a project. The rubberized portable speed bumps are extremely expensive, so a funding mechanism would have to be identified. And that is all I have items for review. Next is special events. There was one special event application for the first annual Women's Weekend of New Jersey.
Any other questions? Yeah, this went to the Special Events Committee, so Tom's not here, but if anybody has any questions, I can answer.
We're good.
We're good. We're good. Nope. Question?
Where is it going to be held? It says that there was a schematic.
It's going to be held mostly on Fifth Avenue Beach and on the boardwalk in front of Fifth Avenue, but if it's too congested, they'll move it down a little bit going south.
So this is going to be outside?
Yeah.
For 3 days?
That's on Wednesday. I know, yeah, we saw the same thing, yeah.
The 17th through the 20th?
No.
No?
18th and 19th, right?
Yes and no. Yes, it's a 3-day event, but what's in Asbury is only on 1 day. Because part of it's in Ocean Grove.
Okay. Thank you.
Is this the Women's Weekend?
Yeah, and on the back, does it have a cost?
$950, I think it was.
Yeah, $950 total fees collected.
Right, that would be the beach and the boardwalk. And this was, they were hoping this to be a very big event the first year. They realized they didn't have the logistics to pull it off, so they scaled it down dramatically and looked to make it bigger every year from here on out. And supplied insurance, supplied everything.
Okay. Next is presentations. We have 2 presentations. The first one will be by the city planner, Michelle Alonso. It includes a public hearing. This is an application for the grant from Monmouth County Park Municipal Open Space Grant Program for the Bradley Cove project.
Council members and members of the public. Tonight I'm presenting to you an application for a matching grant for the project commonly known as Bradley Cove Park. Last year, we were awarded a $1.1 million grant from Green Acres in order to purchase the development rights from developer iStar. This would be a matching grant for $250,000. The Green Acres grant required a match, and this is an annual grant program offered by Monmouth County. It's Monmouth County Municipal Open Space Fund that could be for acquisition or for development projects. Past years, we have applied for Springwood Park, and we have received 3 awards over the last 4 years for Springwood Park. So this year when the round came up, we thought that we would make an application for Bradley Cove. I have on the table over there, and it's in everyone's package, a concept plan, which just shows the outline of what would be the park. The actual area of acquisition would be the roadbed of North Ocean Avenue, because that is the part that we need to buy the development rights for to complete the park. In the application, I put a series of what the park could be used for. Some of the ideas have been that would be both a passive and active recreation park. There's items that we, of course, we would further explore as we go into the development stage of the park that include buildings for activities, bathrooms, but most definitely that the park would include natural and green space. And we would make a connection with the ocean and Dill Lake. So the park would actually be fronting the ocean, and we would improve a portion of Dill Lake so that there could be a walking path, perhaps paddle boats, but it would be considered one park. Part of this application, the requirement is that there has to be an endorsing resolution from municipal council, because it is the municipal making the application for the grant. And also part of tonight's hearing is that we need to have a public meeting with public comment on this actual application for the park. And this is, again, I'm going to stress, a application for acquisition money, not for development money. So that is a very quick synopsis. Let me open it up first to the council members if you have any questions about this application for the park.
No, I'll add 2 quick things. One, I think the mayor and deputy mayor were at the freeholder meeting when the freeholders said if we received the Green Acres money that they would be willing to go ahead and match. So this is the process to go through and get the matching funds. And
Who comes up with the 250?
that's their limit. That's the limit for this municipal grant. Yeah, and it's not quite a match, I don't think. I think we're like maybe 25,000 short.
Right.
Is that right? So that if it was 1.1 million, 25 would be 275?
Right.
Is that right? So the total acquisition, 75% from Green Acres, 25% from wherever, hopefully from the county and wherever else, would be 1.375 million. So I think that's the number that we should use. Even though we use this number that's on the resolution now, in the original Green Acres application, I think that we should use the number that Green Acres allotted us, plus the 25% match.
Right, I do want to say that the resolution before you is a template in the grant application. So that's what, and the interesting thing is this is a very unique application because the acquisition we're going for is development rights, not the actual land. So we probably do need to tweak the language in the template to better suit this type of application.
Yeah, that's the only piece. And then, as we move forward, we'll see. We don't have to, so the way it works with Green Acres is, say we're short the 25,000 for a match, they just won't give you that other 25,000. So then you're 50,000 short for the whole project. You can use the rest of it because you get the 250 match from the county. But we could also raise that money in other places, or the county's willing to look at other sources of funding as well. So This is the first step, and the deadline's middle of September, so 18th, next week. So we're gonna get it in, and then we'll go from there.
And this is only monies for acquisition, not for any development of the park?
If the acquisition comes out to be $500,000,
Then you can use the funds?
I think we can probably,
Okay.
go for development monies for all of it, but that would involve some steps. Right now, all this money would be for acquisition.
Right, and because it's capped for us at 250,000, you can make multiple applications for the same project in a different year, like we did for Springwood Park.
Right.
Okay, and I talked to Joe, I talked to Michelle, I talked to Amy. The resolution 2015323, when I read it, the problem I have is like number 2. The City of Asbury Park is committed to this project, which we are, and will provide the balance of funding necessary to complete the project as described in the grant application in the form of non-county matching funds as required in the policy and procedures matter for the program. And that's where I have a problem, because this is not just, the whole thing, the way I read it, is a 6-acre park being run by the city, which I guess we own all the land to begin with, except.
Right.
But to build a 6-acre park with parking lots, with fish cleaning stations, with boardwalk and everything could be $20 million. And how are we going to, I'm not going to be here. How do we make the next council say, we'll provide the balance of funding necessary to complete the project? I mean, and without knowing the finite dollar amount. I mean, can we cap the dollar amount? I mean, if you tell me it's $250,000, I have no problem.
So 2 things I think we can do. One is we can change the dollar amount up top to reflect that 1.375. So then you're at 25,000 in addition to the county match. The second thing is, it was the same issue with the Green Acres application. And I remember when we were working on the resolution, they were open to, they know that we're sitting on transitional aid, and they know that we can't make any major commitments, so they were open to a tweaking of the language. So what we can do tomorrow is we can call the county, explain how we framed it in the Green Acres application, and do the same thing, because we're not even in the discussion of how to develop this park yet. We're in the discussion of how to acquire it.
And you have my total support. And so if we can do that, you got.
Yeah, we'll work tomorrow to tweak the number, tweak the language, so that it is simply relating to the number with the money.
As much as we're here now, and the freeholders are there now, I mean, 5 years down the road, it could be different freeholders, it could be different council, and all of a sudden, well, you guys said you would come up with any additional funding, and that could be $10 million. And I'm just picking a number.
Right.
I mean, so.
Well, if we don't fulfill our end, we don't get the grant. I mean, it's a reimbursement.
Why apply for a grant if we know we can't come up with $10 million? So I believe you and Joe can work this out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, and it's the same thing with Green Acres. Green Acres is like, we have it in the
And I
resolution
know
because that's what we
I
want.
know you explained to me, John's
they just-
template, and this is.
Right, that's based upon, it's very, and it's funny because it was, says in the packet, do not amend this template. But obviously in discussions with the county, this is a little bit of a unique application. In fact, they probably never, or at least the staff there now, not having had an application of this nature. We're actually purchasing development rights, not the land outright.
And I have faith in you and Joe working this out tomorrow, but unfortunately, and you being fairly new, like, we either get hit over the head alphabetically, Asbury Park, A's, we hit you over the head first, or guess what, you signed something you shouldn't have signed. So make me feel better tomorrow and have my total support. And again, I'm totally against Bradley Cove, I'm totally for this. I just don't want to commit ourselves to funding a 6-acre park if we don't have the money.
Right.
Because once we do away with Bradley Cove, if we ever do away with Bradley Cove through negotiations and through amendments, we lose the meandering boardwalk that the city has to pick up. We lose the parking lot, we lose the fish station, we lose everything. That's got to come out of taxpayers' dollars. Because that's all part of the negotiation.
Not the way we structured the appraisal.
Okay,
We structured the appraisal to, all those pieces are left in the contract with iStar.
fantastic.
We're just looking at the number of the best use of those development rights.
Okay.
So that stuff's, they're not off the hook for that. If they want to throw that stuff in there, that's going to knock down their money value.
Okay.
Right? If they want to say, well, we're not going to do this. Well, guess what? It was an even trade back then. Maybe it's still an even trade. Right? So if they bring that up, that's then money off of whatever we're going to end up paying them.
Okay, and I knew Joe was on top of this more than anybody, so I appreciate the knowledge and the insight. That's all I have.
Does any other council member have a question? If that's the case, I would like to open up to the public just for this portion. We are only going to discuss any comments on this application for the park. And I would ask if you do come up to the microphone that you sign in the sign-in sheet because I need to submit that as part of the grant application.
Hi, Rita Morano, 8th Avenue. Could you go through the grant application?
Did I?
Well, we couldn't hear too good back here. The grant application, how much money are we getting and how much do we have to match?
So here's the, well, we're getting from the state 1.1 million
What are we talking about? The park over on the west side or the east
in
side?
front of the tower, in front of Asbury Tower.
Yeah.
So we're getting 1.1 million from the state Green Acres Fund. We are on the hook to match 25% of that. The county has pledged to match 250,000, which would leave 25,000 left for us to fundraise. And the idea has always been that we will find a source of funding for the match. Nobody has ever suggested that it would come from anywhere but either land trusts or grants. So that's where it'll come from.
Well, you talked about iStar, though. What are they getting? Why can't you eminent domain that property? Why do you have to give them anything?
Well, the process is first the appraisal process, which we're going through now, and then the negotiation. And then if the negotiations fail, as a municipality, there's always the option for eminent domain, and Green Acres money can be used for eminent domain. That's not the intent of this council, or the intent of this council was to provide fair market value for the development rights to iStar. And to that end, we have $1.1 million and $250,000 from the county and the state. So that's your taxpayer money that's going to get spent somewhere else in this county. Might as well get spent in Asbury Park.
That's great, but we don't need one more park, do we? We're only one little mile. I mean, how do you, why would you even think about a park when you know that we have already over $520 million in non-ratables?
Would you
I
rather
don't know
the
if you
condos
know
there,
that number.
Rita?
Why don't you just leave it alone and just worry about the other park that you have to do?
So the problem is if we leave it, they have the rights to build 15 townhomes, which will then actually end up costing us more money in the long run because you're going to have, you saw what happened there during Irene, you saw what happened there during Sandy. You've got storms that come through here. You had to evacuate the tower. The lake was flooded. You're going to have to put more replenishment dollars onto the beach to protect those homes. So in the long run, this small, maybe 5-acre park is going to enhance the property values around. And we're using money that's going out for public space anyway. I think it's best if we use it here in Asbury Park as opposed to Homedale or Cold Snack or wherever.
Well, I mean, it sounds like maybe not too much money, but it is a lot of money for a park, whether you think so or not. You're talking in the millions over here.
Right. Well, I think the issue is because it's waterfront. And the thing that is validating is that the state, you know, we did not think they were going to give us close to $1 million. They gave us over $1 million. So they see that it's a valuable spot. And it's a spot that I think when turned into a park will enhance the property values around the city. If you look at what happened around 7 Presidents, Rita, like all that development is enhanced because you've got that 7 Presidents Park right there.
Well, what about it? Well, how about the church that never got finished? The 7 President Church there. That also was destroyed in Sandy after it was rebuilt. So if they built those houses, so what? Let them suffer with that. Let another hurricane come and knock them down. I mean, why would you worry about that? What's the worry about that? That's another rateable, isn't it?
Because this council doesn't feel those 15 ultra-rich condominiums are the right thing for that place in Asbury Park.
No, I personally think it will never be built, but why don't you just eminent domain it? Why can't you? You eminent domain other properties.
We'd rather go through the amendment process first and then go last, options last. But we're not at that step yet.
Okay.
And let me just, the money that is being used is money that has already been paid to the state for open space out of the taxpayer's pocket, has already been paid from the county taxpayer's pocket. It's going somewhere to preserve open space, be it in Bergen County, down somewhere else. So we are trying to leverage this money for Asbury Park. So if we don't spend it in Asbury Park, that $1.375 million is going somewhere else.
I also want to just quickly state the 2006 master plan does state that we have a shortage of active recreation areas in the city. So hopefully that this park can help fulfill that deficit.
And I would just say 2 things. The area is prone to storm damage, so it's a protector, right? It would protect the wastewater treatment plant and everything else. And it's used for recreation. I mean, there's surfers, there's fishermen, there's dog people down there. So it's used already, so we want to enhance the value down there.
I didn't hear who said we don't have enough recreation.
The master plan.
Our master plan.
The master plan, with all the parks that are here and the boardwalk, and we don't have enough recreation?
Active recreation space. They're considered passive. A lot of our park space on the Roxy is actually underwater. All the lakes are considered park space.
Rita, don't forget to sign in, please, down at the table. All speakers have to sign in over there.
Tracy Rogers, Monroe Avenue. What is the actual, iStar is the actual owner of the property right now?
They own the development rights. So
Okay.
under the redevelopers agreement in 2002, they were, and they're entitled as soon as the final subdivision plan is signed off on by all the agencies, Green Acres, Tidelands, everyone else, they then automatically receive the title to the land. Currently, they hold the development rights, but it's still the right-of-way of Ocean Ave, primarily.
And as she said, that most of the recreation from the master plan has not been met, is part of the negotiations going to be them to work with the city on a recreation project? Would that go into your negotiation?
No, I think the spot we're at now is simply acquisition. Right, so once we acquire the land, then the discussions would happen. So we already have surfing happening down there. How could we enhance like access to the lake? How could we run programs? There's been lots of talk. The county runs some programs here already, but they bring kids from Asbury Park down to Long Branch. So could the county run their surfing program here? Could we have a connection between Springwood Park and here, run like programs to different parts of the city? So that would all be down the road. But first, the main #1 objective is acquisition, and then the discussion of.
Well, I kind of agree. I understood the point, because in that area, if you have, one, if there is a flood, the city becomes responsible for anything else, then goes back into FEMA or anything else. But if it's a park, we could live with letting the water come in. But our next stage, when would, conceptualizing, we wouldn't be thinking, how long would we be thinking about a plan and the cost of the redevelopment of that property, even after the acquisition?
Yeah, I think that's a little premature, that discussion. I mean, if we could do the acquisition within a year, then I think we can talk to the county and the state and talk about funds to begin what makes most sense to develop it and who would be the partners. But that's really, I think, after the acquisition, because there's still a few hurdles before we get the acquisition done.
And the mayor says the last option may be off the table for eminent domain, but, you know, to let them know that in that process, we can do things to kind of reduce the cost because they are making a lot of money. I started making a lot of money up on the boardwalk, the redevelopment area.
Right, I think that as partners with iStar, they'll see that this is a mutually beneficial project and support it.
And correct me if I made a mistake,
What's that?
do we have the right to eminent domain?
As a municipality, we do. And my understanding, as a municipality, we do. As redevelopment authority, we do not because we're in a contract with iStar, but as the municipality of Asbury Park, we do.
Hello, Mayor and Council, Jerry Scranton, Long Ranch. What I wanted to say is, what I believe, but I agree with Rita, they'll probably never develop that area since it is prone to development. And if they don't have to develop that area, they also save money on building infrastructure to that area. So that's saving them money. I think you should start the eminent domain process as a tool to curb the line or the rope to lead the line or whatever you want to say, because we're the boss, not iStar. And we were against selling that land to Asbury Partner because we knew they were broke, and yet Lafredo and Bruno and them pushed it through. And I really believe they shouldn't get rewarded for taking advantage of a situation because of the last council giving it to them. What I want to say is, what about turning that parking lot on the north side of the Asbury Tower into a commercial use, like they used to have the Marina Grill? Well, that's the way I knew that area, as the Marina Grill site, but that was where the new parking lot's going to be. But I think that would serve the city a lot more if we had a double deck for parking and a restaurant on top of that, or a bar or something that could bring life to the north end, the far north end, and it could be something fun. I'd like you to think of that. Maybe iStar could do a trade-off that way, or just allow them to build 15 units someplace else. But to give them money for something that was stolen from us years ago, because we had a council that thought they were smarter than everybody, I just think you shouldn't reward them. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, John.
Don't forget to sign in, please.
Is that it? Is there anyone else? Again,
Hey, Jerry, sign Rita's name too, just so Michelle has it. Just sign Rita's name when you sign in, because I don't think she went and did it.
Yeah, I'm going to sign it.
Actually, Rita, would you mind signing your name?
What?
Do what?
Michelle.
Michelle.
Would you sign your name on the sign?
Jerry, sign it for her.
Jerry will sign it for you.
Jerry, sign it for an initial.
All right, thank you.
An initial.
It's a requirement for the grant, anyone who speaks on the topic. I have to show that we didn't make up that you came up to the microphone.
You never have to worry about Rita making up she came up to the microphone.
Jerry doesn't know.
Are we ready to move along?
Yep. What do you got?
Okay, the next presentation by Michelle will be the concept of development for New Jersey Route 71, the pavement and rehabilitation project, basically known as the Main Street Road Diet.
Council members, I apologize that there's not a formal memo from me on this topic. This came up pretty quickly. Where to begin? To give some background, a road diet means that the reduction of lanes on city street, and it's been proposed by DOT for, I'd say, about 8 years, that here on Main Street on 71, that it's desired to bring it from 2 lanes in each direction to 1 lane in each direction. That's called a road diet. I believe to previous councils, there were presentations made of doing concept design investigation and there was actually probably two former presentations from previous councils that they were going to explore concept. Well, very quickly, they're in final design process, and it came upon, I guess, us, all of us here who are, we're not here for the history of this project. It was quite a surprise that they're in final design stage and what they're proposing. It would be a reduction in the lanes from 2 to 1 in each direction, but there would be some pedestrian safety improvements. But actually, before I go into that, the biggest thing that changed, that was a big surprise, is previous concept drawings showed street improvements such as street trees and pavers. We were presented on August 1st by DOT and a consultant, Hatchmont McDonald, again, a new concept plan that includes the reduction of 1 lane each direction with a turning lane in the middle. Part of the enhancements would be bump outs at the intersections, walk, don't walk signals, new traffic signals at all the intersections, and the situation where we have with the electricity being run on our light poles, they're going to be separated so that, or I should say the metal poles are disappearing, they're going to be wood poles. This presentation, I think, was a surprise to all of us present. Mayor Moore was present. The assistant city manager was present. City manager was present. The police, someone from the police department was present. Because we're in the final design concept phase, yet none of us had really seen a final design. The beginning of the state wanting to do the road diet has to do with our pedestrian fatality numbers. However, I have not reviewed those numbers. I asked DOT to send me those numbers. I have yet to receive those numbers. The other part that was a little troublesome was that they did their traffic counts in the spring rather than for what is typically here the peak time of summer, and that we are going to go from service levels of A and B, meaning excellent and good flow, to all intersections will be a B, which is good flow. So what has also happened at DOT is we voiced our concerns, but they came back to us and said, if this municipality does not want the road diet, that we need to pass a resolution and send to them that we do not want the road diet. I had prepared for discussion because of course not everyone is in the loop on this, especially because it came down very fast and quickly from DOT. A resolution where I ask that we do not have the road diet, but we have the other pedestrian safety measures. Oh, actually, I forgot to mention, we're going to get bike lanes. So I
was just going to ask about that, a 5-foot wide bike lanes on both sides.
Right. That is part of what they presented to us. So what I've asked is that they retain everything. Oh, this actually also began as this is a repaving project. And everything else, just because of the supposed crash numbers on pedestrian fatalities, it came about as a road diet. So I prepared a resolution stating that we want to remain a 4-lane road, but that we want the bump outs, we want the traffic lights, we want the bike lanes, and even adding that we would like to consider the emergency preemption, which means that our emergency vehicles would have something on them so that they could trigger the traffic light to turn green so they could go through more safely. We would have to do a match for that. I believe it's DOT told me 25%. I had included that in the resolution. And I am unsure, well, I shouldn't say unsure. I today rode up and down 71 to see how 771 feel in each municipality. And I have to say, we are very unique. We're very unique in that, well, number one, we're probably the only municipality who has not had any improvement to 71 yet. And also, we do, just even from my driving up and down, have the heaviest traffic flow. And again, this is not scientific, I didn't do traffic counts, this was just me riding up and down this afternoon. And part of it is because of the way 33 dumps into 71. So you definitely have a heavier traffic flow in that area. And then it's also the nature of our commerce here. Because I took the mayor's advice and I looked at Deal. Deal is one of the few places in 71 where it was redone by the state, yet it retains 4 lanes of traffic, but there is no pedestrians in Deal. They really do not have the same amount of commerce and pedestrian traffic that we do. So we're definitely, we're unique on the strip. I've also, the closest one, the municipality that has had the most improvement is Avon by the Sea. And they apparently made a deal with DOT for all the beautiful improvements that they put as part of the road diet. The municipality has to maintain it. They have to maintain the paving, the pavers, the lights, and the beautiful landscaping. So in conclusion, I definitely think that we need the pedestrian safety measures, but until I see the crash data, I am not 100% convinced that we need to narrow down to 1 lane. One of the concerns that I'm sure that has come up is the issue of loading and unloading. We're also, as a municipality, in the minority with others on 71 in that we have on-street parking and it's used and it's at a premium. And the conflict, there definitely is going to be conflicts if we go down to 1 lane with parallel parking, loading, and people are going to have to drive into the turn lanes when they encounter someone loading, unloading, or parallel parking, or double parking, which I've encountered on Main Street.
Right, so they don't, because that's one of the things, that's one of my issues. I mean, my first issue is it just doesn't really work now, so an improvement would be needed. But so they don't have loading and unloading areas outlined in their plan?
None.
I mean, how do they expect people to?
Because they live in an ivory tower and they just came up with this 8 years ago and just keep on getting paid to come up with stupid ideas. That's my perception.
I mean, so the thing that it drives me crazy on this road and on 33 is when somebody's turning, everybody is going around with their blinker or not, and that's what causes the congestion, or some of the congestion, it feels like. So I thought in my head, and maybe you answered my question, that the turning lane would eliminate that, because you're only in the turn lane if you're turning, everybody else is going. But the flow rating, you're saying the turn lane is not, it's going to reduce our flow rating from A and B to only B.
Their consultant said, yes, we're going to go down. We're at A's and B's now. We did not specify which intersection is which, but that they would all go down to a B level.
So it's not going to increase our flow. That's clear.
No, the purpose is to counter pedestrian crashes.
Right.
Which we have no crash data.
And more so, with something that probably I should request is other places where they have done the road diet on a state road, has there been a decrease in pedestrian crashes?
Right, that would be interesting information.
You're right, and Joe, you're right, and I agree with safety is the key, but I know where I'm being hosed, and I'm being hosed, and the city of Asbury Park is being hosed by the state on this. And this is all my opinion. And I value my opinion on the police department. I value my opinion on DPW. I value my department on the fire department. I value my department on engineering and OEM, where we have decades, if not centuries, of knowledge of people who've lived and worked in this town that have driven the street, be it in winter, spring, summer, or fall, and seen what it's like, especially in winter. When we have a snowstorm, DOT cannot handle it. They have to come out, they close down 1 block at a time. We have to have our police officers go in 1 block at a time. For them to come up with a plan that has no loading zones, I mean, it's just somebody should be fired. I mean, But again, I know I'm being hosed. And you know why I know I'm being hosed? We had the meeting on August 1st. We had the meeting on August 1st. The minutes were drawn up on August 3rd. We got the minutes on September 3rd when there were 6 people from Asbury Park at that meeting. And not one of the 6 got a copy of the minutes. We had to call up and ask for the minutes because their version of what happened sitting here and my version of what happened sitting here are night and day. Where they, hey guys, sorry, we're going to do it anyway, so go to hell. And that's basically what they told us. And again, you just look at it. Now, okay, this starts at Deal Lake Drive. So you come across the Norwood Avenue Bridge into Asbury Park, onto Deal Lake Drive, and you make a left. You make a right. And you go to Main Street, which is again 71. And on Deal Lake Drive from Park, right, to Main Street, they say, we're going to make a center lane for left-hand turns. Well, guess what?
There's like two
There is none going east because you turn into the damn lake. So there is none. And guess what? There's one coming west, Grand Avenue. So we're going to reconfigure a street and make it narrower and make it worse to park and make it everything. And for people to make one left-hand turn on Grand Avenue, which in all my life, I've never heard of an accident there. I'm sure there has been, but I know there's probably been no pedestrian accidents. So again, this is like a safety factor that, again, I know when I'm being hosed. And again, for them not to send us the minutes is just irresponsible, unconscionable. I mean, I do not know how to explain it. However we vote on this, I'm going to ask that it be sent to our state senator, state assembly people, to know that if, I believe the majority of the council is against this because of a lack of information and more information being requested. And that would be the right reason to vote no on this. But the city in July, knowing this was going to come down and the city was going to be hosed, and I'm not using the word screwed, I'm using the word hosed, we sent out a survey door to door to every business. Now, a lot of people read it and said, and didn't reply. But I've been to at least 15 of these businesses, be it one, the Coaster, be it the Johnny Mac's, be it Cumberland Farms, be it 6th Avenue liquor stores. Geez, I'm in all the bars. And they're all dead against it. And I'm like, well, come to a council meeting and say that, or return it. She said, geez, we threw it away. We didn't know it was that important. It is important. But did the state reach out to the business people on Main Street? And the answer is no. In 8 years, they have not reached out to the people on Main Street that have businesses and get their deliveries and make their livelihood. That's irresponsible on the part of the state, as far as I'm concerned. As far as like we have this new type of government called initiative or referendum. You want to be a real democracy? Put this on the ballot. I'll get you the 500 signatures, and we'll put it on the ballot, and the town will vote it down 50-1. We don't want to change the flow on Main Street. So they're just going to come in and unilaterally do what they want to do, which is, you know, I may lay down in the middle of the road. I mean, this is just so irresponsible on the state. I know it was funny, and Michelle inherited this, and when she tried to get in touch with the woman who initiated the meeting, well, she retired. so we have nobody, we have a new person we're dealing with. It's supposed to be very nice and sympathetic and everything, but again, police department, decades if not centuries. Fire department, decades if not centuries. DPW, decades if not centuries. Citizens, centuries. Everybody in Asbury Park says, hey guys, guess what? You want to know something? We're not Avon. Avon does not have multiple dwellings with apartments above their buildings. They have a couple little stores here and there. We are not Avon. So, I mean, and again, I'm glad you brought up Norwood Avenue and Deal. As much as they want a bicycle lane, why didn't they put a bicycle lane and Deal on Norwood Avenue? When they got 2 lanes going this way, 2 lanes going this way, no bicycle lanes there, and it's not a true bicycle lane. It's a 5-foot federal mandate bicycle lane, but if I'm driving my bicycle down that road and you open your car door, I'm suicide. So it's not a dedicated bike lane. To me, worst plan I've ever seen. And again, you're new. We got beat up over closing down Summerfield Avenue, railroad tracks. We cannot now get our fire department to the southwest in as quick as fashion as we could. State of New Jersey, you do this to Main Street and Asbury Park, there'll be tragedies. There will be tragedies where we can get fire or police to respond in a timely fashion. So again, everybody knows how I feel. I think.
So, John, is this like take it or leave it? We don't have any options?
Well,
I mean,
at this point in
if we're
time,
not happy with it?
At this point in time, when they say they're at their final planning stage, I would say, yeah, they're putting the gun to our head.
So if we say no, it means we don't get anything?
It means no, it means
that they can come in and do what they want to regardless?
They're going to do what they want to
71?
regardless. And even as far as like, we were talking about redoing the curbs and sidewalks. Now some of the sidewalks on Main Street are 14 feet, some are 8 feet. They say, oh no, we're only doing 5 feet. If it goes from the curb to the building and it's 8 feet and you're only doing 5 feet, so where does it mesh? It makes no sense. You're not doing the entire like sidewalk. And Michelle banged them on that, said that's ridiculous. You have to do the entire sidewalks. And as far as the bump outs, they say, well, we want to put bump outs in to cut down on, make it more pedestrian friendly crossing the streets. But they only wanted to do it on 50%. I'm like, well, what 50% is safe and what 50% is unsafe? And they had no answers. It was they made a terrible presentation. And that's why we didn't get the minutes.
Well, some of it is because this project, budget-wise, has been cut back. I believe they said, well, I should say that they picked the bump outs for streets where they had the most crash data, so that would give me a little indication of it. But they did, I know you did bring up about why, if you're doing bump outs, why not everyone? That was something that they said they would look at. But yes, Councilwoman Clay, they did put a gun to our head because they said we've been kicking this project around for years and that they would like a resolution from us now, or they're going to go forward with the project that they've designed it. So that's why I drafted the resolution the way I did, because I don't want, because I believe they said at the meeting, oh, you just want repaving, we'll give you repaving. It's like, well, we don't want that either. We want some of the enhancements. We definitely want walk, don't walk signals, because not all of our intersections have that now.
Right.
And the bump outs, I believe, we want the shared, like the sharrows, the bike lane, at least it's marked that someone driving a car sees it and knows, like, oh, I need to yield to someone riding a bike. And I am, even though not everyone is, I am in favor of these bump outs, because with the parked cars, if you're going to cross, at least you're out far enough you can see the cars rather than having to stick your body through the parked cars. So while again, I'm not sure if the road diet is what we need, I am sure we need these pedestrian safety enhancements.
And nobody's fighting them on that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I mean, I would say.
I totally agree.
The bump outs, the bike lane, the walking safety things, and I guess I would be a little bit different than the mayor in that I've seen road diets work in places where we have densities like this. I think it's a little bit different, but I mean, I think they work. I think it would make our Main Street more pedestrian friendly and more of a place for commerce and pedestrians as opposed to commuters driving through. The question is, if they're going to be driving on Memorial and the Memorial is going down to one lane as well, I mean, I don't understand how that works either. So, and it also just sounds to me like this plan that's been proposed is a little bit not great of a plan.
And anybody coming from the south
and arbitrary
is going to make a right onto Cookman and take Grand Avenue, and then we're going to have all the traffic on a pedestrian 25-mile-an-hour street instead of a county highway, because Main Street's going to be impassable. And you're right, anybody going north on Memorial or south on Memorial, it's down to one lane. So by the county planner. So there's no alternate, like be it a county or a state highway, to pick up this overflow.
Right, my question would be to the county, when you're diverting this through traffic off of Main Street, where is it intended to be redirected to? Because that's a little bit of what a road diet does. Where's that traffic going? Like, and what is their plan for loading and unloading? Like, where are all those trucks gonna?
The fact that they didn't have a plan after 8 years of study was kind of scary.
You would just have to drive around the truck into the turn lane to go around it. There is no proposed loading and unloading. And part of the dilemma with that is if we designate loading and unloading during certain hours, that reduces the on-street parking.
I have one question.
Yes.
Is it possible we can, all the things that we talked about tonight, can we send out a letter back to the state asking them to look over and compare and match up what we're thinking? Because we should get some kind of priority out of this.
Right, I mean, there has been correspondence with the state. It's interesting.
But have we sent them a letter?
Well, I think a majority of what we're talking about, and good idea, but I think a majority of it you cover in your resolution.
Well, they said they want to see in a resolution.
So we're going to adopt a resolution. In the resolution, we're asking all the questions that we're asking tonight. Same as a letter.
Even what had occurred in 2013, what ended up in that resolution wasn't fulfilled. That,
Yeah, do me a favor. I don't think you made me a copy.
I do, I have it.
Okay. No, you didn't give it to me. Because the resolution that they're referring to, because one of the questions at the August 2nd meeting was, in their prepared package was, local officials approve this plan. And I asked them all around the table, who are the local officials? And they all looked at me like I was John. And nobody answers. And to this day, I want to know who are the local officials who think this is a good plan. And then I think they're holding their hat on this. In 2013, the mayor and council endorsed the concept development for New Jersey Route 71 pavement rehabilitation project. It doesn't say we're for this, it says we approve the concept. So, I mean, I don't know, again, I think it's kind of in your resolution, but you were at the meeting, Kevin, you were at the meeting, I asked them, who are the local officials? Because I told them point blank, the day before, you and I had just met with Jennifer Beck, and I told Jennifer Beck, Senator Beck, this was coming down. She said, no, I'd never heard of it. So I want to know who the local officials are that approve this plan. There are no local officials that approve this plan at this point in time. It could be a good plan. Hopefully we'll modify it where we're all happy, but it ain't going to work one way. It's just not going to work.
The way they have it designed, it doesn't look like it's going to work. So what we're asking for here is we've got the repaving, the pedestrian safety, retaining the 2 travel lanes,
right,
curb extensions, which are the bump outs, the traffic signals, and is the bike lane in here? Are the bike lanes in here?
I thought so.
It's in the resolution that I have from you, yeah. It's on the first page?
Yes,
But
it
did
is.
I skip it
In the second paragraph.
I don't see where it says now, therefore be it resolved.
Okay.
I'll double check that.
Are we looking at 324,
Yeah.
resolution 324?
First page.
Right, but it's not in this where everything's restated what we resolved.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And then, do you have full replacement of sidewalks in there? Instead of partial replacement of sidewalks?
I know I do have, I'm going to double check to make sure that I have in there. I know
Okay.
it's in the first portion.
And again, you did a great job with this, and it was like, I think, your first meeting when you were here.
And I had to run out before it was over.
Well, hey, the one lady retired.
I emailed her.
Well, again, the city of Asbury Park got bullied on closing down Summerfield Avenue Railroad crossing. We got bullied. And we can't be bullied again when public safety. And Chief Keddy, Deputy Chief Salerno was here. All public safety has said, no, we're against this. And again, these are people who've been here decades and centuries, and their staff has been here centuries.
and the public's been here centuries and said, it ain't gonna work, guys. So go back to your ivory towers and come up with something else, or else, I don't know, we'll see you in court. And again, we're gonna start getting people from the public because, again, I talked to Sebastian Vaccaro, I talked to Ellen Carroll, I talked to a lot of business owners on Asbury, on Main Street, and they're dead against this. So they're going to have to step up because they have more to lose than I do. Next snowstorm, I can just stay bunkered in on 4th Avenue. But when they're trying to get their businesses open on Main Street, they're going to be in trouble.
What do other road diet plans do, and I can look this up as well, for like loading and unloading zones? Is it just they park and people go around? Is that the standard way, or do they design?
Sometimes they have loading areas, sometimes they just double park, or sometimes they do it on a side street, depending on the business.
Thank you very much, Michelle.
Why couldn't they just put it in, like, at each spot?
That's what I would think, just load it at each spot. Yeah. Right.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, the next item is going to be presented by me as fire chief, and it's a resolution and a memorandum of understanding to enter into with the city by way of its fire department and the county by way of its Office of Emergency Management. What this does is basically just memorializes a practice that we're already doing. It does not hold the city to be obligated in any way, shape, or form, but it allows us to apply for regional grants and to get streamline the process of getting reimbursed by FEMA for any incidents that would be FEMA reimbursable.
Okay. Questions?
Any questions? Okay. Moving on, item D is discussion items, and there's only one topic tonight, and that's the 2015-2016 liquor license renewals.
In your packets, I put a highlighted copy of the resolution of suggested changes that Deputy Chief Salerno has recommended for our liquor licenses. And I just wanted to bring it to your attention and see if you would have any other changes or recommendations that you would like to make on any of the liquor license before they are approved tomorrow evening.
So the highlighted areas are changed?
Changes from Deputy Chief Salerno from last year to this year.
That's a good question.
Are the businesses informed that there's going to be some restrictions to their?
Yes, they'll get a copy of this resolution. As I send out their licenses, I will highlight for each anybody who has changes in any of their restrictions. And I believe there was also several meetings that Deputy Chief Salerno had with these businesses, because most of them are problem businesses.
Okay.
So they know these changes are coming?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any questions.
I have no questions.
No, they made sense.
Okay, next is a statement by the city clerk regarding initiatives, petitions.
On August 14, 2015, I received initiative petitions to be placed 4 questions on the general municipal election ballot for November 3, 2015, pursuant to the initiative and referendum provisions of the Faulkner Act, NJSA 40:69A-184 through 196. I undertook a due diligence and reviewed the petitions to determine whether they were prepared and submitted in accordance with all the relevant statutory requirements. Following my review, I've determined that all 4 petitions must be rejected at this time due to the fact that they were not submitted in a timely manner in order for the proposed questions to be placed on the November 3, 2015 general municipal ballot. Additionally, the petitions were rejected at this time due to the fact that they were insufficient number of ballot signatures identified for each of the proposed questions, therefore rendering them to be disqualified. With insufficient signatures, the petitions would not qualify to be on the ballot for November 3rd, 2015 election or any election thereafter if necessary. The petitioners were provided with a copy of the written decision which was provided to council concerning this matter on Friday, September 4th, 2015.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, no discussion. Moving on. Item F is a review of agenda items for the September 9th regular meeting of the City Council.
Who's got what?
I had budget questions, but I went over them with Ricky. That was it.
I think we went through mine.
Okay, on...
No, not 230.
Go ahead.
322. I was just wondering what... And this is the same thing as the other trucks that were already bonded for?
Yeah, this comes out the Monmouth County Improvement, the October of 2014, where 1.5 was bonded, and we're just finally spending their money.
Right.
And this would be road vehicles for the maintenance repairs, which they have to have an enclosed cab to lock all the tools and everything. Just out of curiosity, and you probably won't know tonight, 2015-320 liquid sodium hypochlorite. Who was the low bidder last year?
I don't know the
If
answer
you
to
can
that.
get me that tomorrow, fine, no problem. 2015-321. This is a commodity resale agreement with the County of Monmouth. And it says, see Exhibit A for what commodities are being resold, but there's no Exhibit A. What commodities? I mean, are these tomatoes?
I will follow up on that tomorrow.
I don't think they're tomatoes, but I mean, I'm just curious, and it's good if we go into all these Monmouth County
Shared services.
and everything, but yeah, it just says see Exhibit A for what's identified, so that wasn't listed. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, matters from the City Council.
Anybody?
Well, I just want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for either sending a call and giving me a telephone call when I was out sick and everything. I also like to thank the public. There was a lot of people that was concerned. So, guys, I know where you stand, and I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Happy to have you back. Next time, listen to your damn doctor.
Words to the wise, that goes for all of us.
Anybody else? Kevin, a couple things, not looking for answers tonight, but these are going to be long-term but short-term, because it's September, and geez, January's right around the corner. So we have to come up with some type of I'm trying to think the right word. Program, how we're dealing with Sunset Lake next year, and a solution. I don't think we still have received an answer from DEP, be it the Wesley Lake outflow pipe. Looking to see if we made any progress with Ms. Higgins from the Workforce Redevelopment. I talked to Tony late this afternoon. Our garbage contract runs out this year, and by state law, you have to go out 60 days. It can't be 30 days, it's 60 days. So that's going to go out soon, and I have a copy of the draft, so we're going to need a meeting about that. And then boardwalk lights. There was a big rush to get this on an agenda as quick as possible so they could start working right after the summer. And we're after the summer, and yet I don't see on this meeting, so I guess it's going to be on the next meeting. And the last thing I have, and this is one of the reasons I got here a little bit late and lathered, kind of like my horses, they never win. I'm getting a lot of phone calls. People can't get COs, people can't move in because we only have one person working in code. And if we have a department of 6 and we only have one person working, something's wrong. And I don't want to go into personnel issues or anything, but if you can get us an update when we're going to get people back and how we're going to handle this shortfall.
And we can't have people going, because for all the phone calls John's getting, I'm getting the same emails. I would guess from either this, whether it's the same or different people, I don't know. But waiting 2 to 3 weeks for a CO when you're trying to rent a property, I mean, there has to be, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, it's absolutely unacceptable, and without getting too much into the personnel issues, I can tell you that the city manager had a long meeting today with the department head of code enforcement.
Okay, so we're on top. Okay, cool. That's all I've got.
Anybody else? Okay, items from the city manager. The city manager did not leave me with anything to bring up, and I don't have anything myself. So, moving on, matters by the city attorney?
No matter.
Okay.
All right, now we're open to the public participation. Can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The public is expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted. The chair will immediately rule such conduct out of order, and after appropriate warning, may terminate any further comment from the speaker. As you all know, you have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address at the mic.
Okay.
Rita, you're on.
Okay, thank you. That was interesting what you said. There was supposed to, people collected signatures to put on the ballot for initiative and referendum. How many signatures do you need?
Do you want me to answer?
Is anybody?
Absolutely, yes.
It's 10% of the number of voters that were collected at the last General Assembly. Off the top of my head, I think it was 229.
229? Mm-hmm. That's it? Mm-hmm. Oh, all right.
Rita.
Yeah.
Rita, you were on that committee.
Huh?
You were on that committee to change the form of government.
I know.
We should be asking you.
I was hoping that you would change a lot of things when the government changed. You had the perfect opportunity to do that, but you didn't do it. So, that was it.
Good comeback, Rita.
All right. The other thing, I wanted to talk about Main Street. I mean, like, I don't think the bump outs are a good idea. How about with snow removal and everything? We talked about that when they did the bump outs on Kingsley Street. That's not a good idea for for Cookman Avenue. No, not Cookman, Main Street. That's not a good idea. And the other thing is that really, Cookman Avenue needs to be cleaned up. Not Cookman as much as Main. Main Street is, it's like a foreign country. I mean, like, if they want to clean it up, I think you should let them clean it up. I don't know about dividing the street. Every other town has 1 lane. If you go to Bradley Beach, it's 1 lane. If you go to Avon, it's 1 lane. If you go to Allenhurst, it's 1 lane. I don't know, I never realized we were 2 lanes until you talked about it tonight. But, I mean, those stores have to be cleaned up. They're not presentable at all. They got the windows covered, which they shouldn't. And there's one store that's completely covered on, right in front of Holy Spirit. What's that, 2nd Avenue? And the other thing is, Fred, you should know the answer to who decided to do something. You've been here for like how many years? I mean, like John said, he doesn't know whose idea it was. Huh?
Fred's off today, Rita. That's Barry. Barry's another attorney from Ansel Aaron Grimm. Fred's not here tonight.
Oh, okay, Barry, I'm sorry. I'm so used to seeing Fred. Oh, Barry, you wouldn't have the answer, right?
I don't know the question.
The question is, who decided on what John was asking? Which council decided to change Cookman, Main Street? Wasn't that the question, John?
Yeah, no council. Well, in 2013, the council said, we will look into it, but they gave no definitive answer.
Okay. Well, I think the new plan is doing a good job, but the bump outs is a bad idea for Main Street. It's a very bad idea. I mean, people, hardly anybody, I mean, other than a couple of streets, nobody really walks. They don't walk down Main Street. The two main streets like Summerfield and where the dollar stores are, that's always busy. But any other place than that, everybody drives.
Michelle asked that question as far as accident rates and everything, so that's part of the request and be part of the resolution. And I agree with you as far as bump outs. And if this was a city street, I would be voting no. And we told them the same reason. Your plows are going to rip them up. You're going to be repairing them every year. And they said, we'll fix them every year. It's a state highway. We want them. It's our road. And they think it's safety. And that if we have to get everything we want to give them bump outs, which is a safety factor, I've got to go along with it.
How about the buses? That's another thing. Aren't the corners bus stops?
No, some of them.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and then you have school buses that put on the blinking lights, so then that backs up traffic even more. So, you know, even you have a school bus that sometimes doesn't put on blinking lights, but parks and like honks a horn, and now it's one lane, people are going to be passing it.
Well, I mean,
a lot of people do walk Main Street. Yes. I would say people walk Main Street as much as any other of the streets because it has a lot of local businesses and shops that people use. So pedestrian safety has to be a priority.
Well, I know it's
not all about cars.
I think Main Street's more of a business district than Cookman Avenue, to be honest with you. What's on Cookman where you can shop?
I agree.
You know, so but they should spruce up those stores. It doesn't look right.
Yeah,
you go to other towns.
That's a city problem, not a state problem. That's something we have to address in-house with code and so on.
I mean, everybody should have the same warning like they do in other towns. It'll look better. You know, streamline it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Sorry, Barry.
Maureen Nevin, Deer Lake Court. I have two areas. Hi, everybody. Did you have a good summer?
Beautiful summer.
Yeah, that's really great, wasn't it? I want to compliment the police force. I had to make a call, my first all summer. We've had some people in our neighborhood that were coming home at 3 o'clock in the morning and starting the barbecue on the top of the roof. You know how we have the roof terraces? 3 a.m. with music and a floodlight so they can see what they're cooking. And we kind of tried to work with it, you know. And I finally called the other night and the police said, no problem, we'll send a car over right away. And the car came over and the patrolman came, you know, to the door and everything got quiet and we all went to sleep and it was very nice. I sound like an old, you know what, but, you know, there's a time for everything, you know. Two questions I've got. One involves the procedure that we have for checking out, like, streets. I'm thinking when you walk out of QuickMed on the corner of 5th Avenue and Main, if you were going north, there's this humongous gap where the macadam stops, and there's I guess what happened was there's some kind of a sewer drain that was too low for the street level, and the macadam caved in, so it's this big gap that, you know, another lawsuit, and, you know, somebody could be really badly hurt. So I would like to ask about what the process is for checking those things. And also the name change. iStar has changed its name officially with the SEC. It has, in '99, it went from Starwood Financial to iStar Financial, and last month, on the 17th, it went to iStar Inc. Does anybody know why they've made these changes?
No, that's a new one on me. I mean, I'll look it up tomorrow in the stock exchange.
And maybe the attorney could speculate about?
Could be any number of reasons, organizational change. I'm sure it's internal. I'm sure there's probably reasons why a business would change its name or incorporate something else. But to mess up the law.
Because I wondered if it changes our situation, because we're contractually involved with them on many levels.
We'll have Kevin get in touch with the redevelopment attorney tomorrow, bring it to their attention to see, have them ask the question, why?
Thank you, appreciate it.
And as far as 5th and Main, Kevin will look into that tomorrow, and also, and as far as the streets being that way, we have 2 foremen, they should be out there checking the streets every day when they see stuff like that, the pothole truck, and we just bought them a brand new $40,000 hot pot machine, so we're no longer using cold patch, so there's very little excuses for that, except they either didn't see it or it's on a list. As far as something positive, probably next meeting, we're hoping the next meeting will be announcing a road improvement plan for 2015. It'll be the first year in 4 years a road's been paved in Asbury Park, and we have 3 to 4 on a list. We're trying to juggle the money. We have approximately $3 million that we can use in 2015. By the time we go for bid, they're not going to be done until 2016, but it'll be 2015 money. And then we're going to start a 3 to 5 year road improvement plan citywide, where like other towns, normal towns do it. Like, we're going to grade every street, and you will know what street is being done in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, when your street's going to be done. And the only thing we have to be cognizant about that is, as everybody knows, it'll be announced tomorrow, Rita, that, obviously the budget's going to be announced tomorrow, and there is a slight tax increase in it. So we don't want to be bonding more money to burden the taxpayers, but we have to catch up on the streets. So we'll have a 1-year road program for 2015, 2016, which will not burden the taxpayers whatsoever, and then we'll decide how much we want to budget for the next 3 to 5 years. The streets are in terrible condition, there's no question about it. Nothing's been paved for 4 years, so we are on top of that. So as much as people are going to say, oh, I got a tax increase, well, at least you're going to see some new paved streets. Say, well, at least I got something for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that part of the street has been newly paved, of 5th Avenue there.
Is it on 5th or on Main? Because if it's on Main, it's the state.
No, it's on 5th.
It's on 5th?
Where the problem is.
On the pharmacy side or on the...
On the pharmacy side.
On the pharmacy side? Kevin, can we check into that tomorrow? Yep, we'll check into that tomorrow. Thank you.
Tracy Rogers, 922 Monroe. First, I'd like to thank the council. Everyone I've talked to has been very open and talking discussions. Also, the city manager. So you guys have been really on your game and looking to improve the city. That Main Street project, I really think a legal aspect needs to be added, because the state, one, should have done quite a few things, like a road study, 2 or 3. Also, maybe just signal turns for each signal, which eliminate that process with the lighting situation. A fatality study, which you guys should have had first and foremost. No loading zones. I think also in your collaboration with legal, should maybe talk to the taxpayers who are companies here to add them into their complaints of the issue with the legal aspect. And the emergency aspect of, I'm just not 2 lanes and a fire truck happen to go up that road. I just don't think, and if you're closing everything in with a bike lane, it's going to be totally safe. So, that's just my opinions. But I think there's some aspects of legals that you can add to that to request even to halt this project down, and maybe, with the resolution to slow the project so you guys can be involved. And I think Hatchmark McDonald should have been consulting with you guys also on the whole plan. So And I just wanted to ask about that tax abatement for the family tree. Have anyone contacted you guys about? And I agree with not giving out a tax abatement if someone isn't giving something back. So I think you guys have the right feeling on denying it if it's, but have you talked to Family Tree to talk about whether they're looking to make sure residents are hired?
Just to that last point, I didn't get any contact information passed on to me. So
I think Pat withdrew his abatement to the, I don't think that's on our plate anymore. I think he publicly, I mean, I don't know, but it's my understanding that he publicly did a story with the Asbury Sun saying that he withdrew this abatement. He withdrew the project, that's my understanding.
Correct, but Joe made the offer, give me a name and I'll make the phone calls. Nobody's given Joe a name or a phone number for us to make the phone calls, and we'll gladly make the phone calls.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Council, Jerry Scrano, 8th Avenue. What I wanted to say is, have we all driven through Belmore, which has a lot of summer tourism, like we have traffic? And I really believe we need the 4-lane highway through Main Street. And I don't think the bump out is a good idea because of buses. Sometimes they have to slide in and out of traffic. I remember a couple of years ago when they wanted to put something down the middle of the street to make us look like Avon. We're not Avon. This is a commercial city and it's thriving. And what he brought up about the blinker lights for making a turn, that would help. But when you go to Belmore, you could sit at one light and not make the next light in one block. In Asbury Park, you have a chance to at least do 2 blocks per light. So we need to explain that. And as for bike lane, that's what you have Grand Avenue for. Let people ride the bike along the tree-lined streets. We don't need pedestrians, who I never seen anybody walk from one end of town to the other on Main Street. I don't know one person who did, but they shouldn't have to worry about bicycle traffic too on top of all that. Okay, it doesn't have to happen with tonight's, what you guys talked about, but when I was at Rita's house, I heard them talking about comp time. And there's a couple of things I want to ask. Is there any way we can check the history on people's computers? Because an old council member said, how come the city clerk's living with $100,000 comp time? If you check his computer, you'll see it on solitaire half the time. And I'm not going to disagree with that. Someone should check the history of the solitaire on the machine. Cindy, don't shake your head. We know that you can see the reflection in the mirror. We're not blind. We got good eyes. So anyway, the computer should be checked. I think we would save a lot of money on comp time. And the other thing is, how does a summer seasonal person make a salary of $15,000? I think someone said $30,000 comp time. How do you be a part-timer and make all that comp time? Something's not right, as Louis Ricardo would say, Ricky Ricardo would say, there's something wrong. So, I'm not sure of all this information. Rita was supposed to talk about that, but she got sidetracked, and I think we need to talk about that.
Who's the $15,000 employee that's making $30,000?
As a seasonal summer at the beach department, did they get $30,000 in compensation? I don't know, that's all. Okay, I just wanted to check it out because that's what I heard. Okay.
If you're talking about a specific person, I can tell you exactly. I mean,
no, I don't know. I just was listening in.
If you're talking about the beach supervisor, he or she is being paid $15,000 for the year and works 12 months a year.
And there's no $30,000 comp time?
Ooh, hell no.
Okay, that's okay. Maybe I misheard the conversation. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay.
Move it.
Second.
Motion to close?
Move it.
Or motion to adjourn, I mean.
Move it.
Get the hell out of here.